Hello and welcome to DNBC TV, where we bring you interviews with inspiring businessmen and women from around the world. You can follow us on Instagram at DNBC TV channel. My name is Gloria Pollock, and today I'm going to interview the co-director of the nonprofit organization Espacio Migrante. SARA SOTO has a bachelor degree in international relations by the Autonomous University of Baja California. She's committed to the protection of the human rights. She collaborates in several projects in Tijuana and Mexico City related to the human rights, to the right of health, labor rights, and sexual and reproductive rights. Hello, Sara. How are you?
Hi, fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So our first question is, what is Espacio Migrante?
Espacio Migrante is a nonprofit organization. We are based in Tijuana. We are actually a binational organization. We are an organization here in Mexico, but we also are a 501c3 in the US. And we are a shelter. We work with the migrant community also living in Tijuana, and we provide, as I said before, a shelter, a place to live for people who are trying to seek asylum in the U.S. or they are seeking refugee in Mexico.
And what is Espacio Migrante's mission?
Our mission is to protect and promote migrants' rights, but also we work with the access of migrants' rights, because even though migrants have rights, they don't have access here in Mexico, right? For example, access to health, to proper documentation, etc.
Okay. And how is it working for Espacio Migrante?
Espacio Migrante is very challenging because you have to deal with a lot of, a lot of apathy from the authorities, and also a lot of racism from the society. But it's rewarding because at the end I know that we are making a difference, and for me it's very I think migration brings many positive things to society, such as culture, art, food, cuisine, and a lot of things. So for me, migration is an opportunity to learn about more cultures and more traditions, and actually to open my perspective. So it's very challenging, but also rewarding, and I think we learn a lot of things about migration, and a lot of migrant communities, such as resiliencia.
What are your responsibilities in Espacio Migrante?
Financial director in Espacio Migrante. I'm also one of the co-founders of the organization, and my main priorities are I'm in charge of the shelter. I'm in charge to make sure everything's fine in the shelter, everything's working in the shelter, to provide food, a lot of things, manage donations, also everything related to the financial matters of the organization, and human resources, and mainly the fundraising. So yeah, that's we are a very small organization, so we have to do everything, but those are my main priorities in the organization.
And how many people work for Espacio Migrante right now?
Right now, we are 7. The general director, me, the financial director. We have a community organizer for the African community. We have a community organizer for the Central American community, and we have a communication coordinator, and we have a Mexican migration attorney. But right now we are hiring 2 more people: the Haitian community organizer and the shelter coordinator.
Okay, you mentioned that there's 2 people that you need to hire right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are these jobs are for, or what are they going to be their responsibilities?
Well, for example, the community organizers are the people that they are closest to the migrant community living in Tijuana. So, and because of, for example, we don't speak, some of us don't speak French or Haitian Creole. So we need someone from the community to be in touch, and I don't know if there's something that specific community needs. It's easier for us to know because they are in direct contact with them. And also we are hiring a shelter coordinator. The shelter coordinator, we want to hire a woman, and she will be in charge of the shelter. For example, arranging some activities at the shelter, making everything's fine in the shelter. If receiving new families, and if someone needs, for example, legal advice, she will talk with the migration attorney, and if they need, for example, mental health aid, she will contact an organization that provides therapy for migrants. So yes, that's mainly the activities that, well, there's a lot more, but those are the main activities that they have to do.
And how many refugees does Espacio Migrante have, and where are they from, generally?
Well, right now we are a small shelter. We have maximum capacity for about 30 people. But right now we have around 21 or 20. I don't remember exactly. And we only receive migrant families. They are seeking asylum in the US or seeking refugee in Mexico. And well, we have people from Mexico, from Michoacan, that they are fleeing from violence in this part of the country. And we also have Central American families such as Honduras, El Salvador, but we have received in the past families from Cameroon, from Haiti, from Venezuela, from Cuba, from Guatemala, Nicaragua, and a lot of countries from Latin America and the Caribbean. Okay. And in Africa.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit or clarify the difference between a refugee and then asylum?
Refugee is, I think it's more a term used by the UN, but it changes from country. So in Mexico, we call it a refugee, and a refugee is a person who needs international protection because his lives his life is in danger. So for, I don't know, political reasons or maybe religious reasons, could be sexual orientation as well, or maybe there's war in their country. Mm-hmm. But in the US, the right term is asylee. Well, the asylee is a person who got the asylum in the US, and while they are seeking asylum is an asylum seeker.
Is that a long process for them? Or, I mean, I guess it depends on the person and the situation, right?
Well, it's a long process because they have to go to court in the US. And for example, last year, 2 years ago, a program named MPP, or Migrant Protection Protocol, also known as Remain in Mexico, returned all the Central American asylum seekers to wait their process in Mexico. So it's a very long process in Mexico, but also it is in the US. It takes about, I don't know, I know some people that they haven't got the status, they still on court, and that's mainly because most of them, they don't have a migration attorney who can help them with their cases. So it depends. It takes, if you have a migration attorney, I think it's a little bit easier and maybe a little bit faster. But if you don't have an attorney, it's complicated. As far as I've been able to experience all that.
And what programs does Espacio Migrante have for the migrants?
Well, we have two projects. One is the shelter and one is the community center. In the shelter, we receive migrant families, as I told you before, and we provide a place to stay, food, activities for them, some workshop, know your rights workshops, legal assistance, mental health aid, and among other activities. And in the community center, we work with a migrant community living in Tijuana. So for example, we have some volunteers that they teach Spanish classes for the African and Haitian community living in Tijuana. We provide some Know Your Rights workshops as well for them. With the pandemic, everything changed because a lot of people lost their jobs. So we are trying to get funds to help them to pay the rent or buy some foods. Buy some food and other things that they need. And all the activities right now that we are doing are through Zoom basically through Zoom. But before the pandemic, we used to do everything in the community center. So right now it's a little bit complicated, but we're trying to do all these activities through Zoom or maybe by call, or I don't know, something like that.
Okay. The next question is, how many migrants does Espacio Migrante help, for example, last year?
Between the families that we receive in the shelter, and last year we started a program with the help of a few organizations from the US, and we raised some funds to buy some like gift cards, but for food. We reach around 1,000 people directly, and indirectly, I think we reach around about 4,000 people.
And what do you mean when you say indirectly?
Well, because we provide some information and a lot of services, as I told you, and many of them have families. So that's what our families or friends, and that's what I mean when I say indirectly.
And how can people like make donations, or is there any way they can be a volunteer, or how does it work?
Well, right now with the pandemic, it's a little complicated to receive volunteers because for the safety matters. But we before the pandemic, we received a lot of volunteers that they maybe they play with the kids, or maybe they did some workshops for the families living in the shelter, or for the migrant community living in Tijuana. Right now, the donations we receive are through PayPal or the Mexican or US bank account. I think PayPal is the easiest way to donate. And also, we receive in-kind donations. So any donation can be received at the shelter as well.
Okay. Is there any way someone can make a donation, like products or some like stuff?
Yes. For example, we are receiving hygiene products. We are receiving food, not only for the shelter, but for to help people living in Tijuana, but not in a shelter. So maybe we provide some food as well. And we right now the weather is a little bit crazy right now, but we are receiving blankets, jackets, and clothes, basically.
Does it have to be new, or it can be like...
The clothes? No, we also are we receive underwear for women, men, and children. But those we receive new because it's more intimate. So we ask if you're going to, or someone is going to donate underwear. It has to be new for so it could be more I don't know how to say it, healthy.
Of course.
But yes, but the clothes, it just has to be clean, and that's it.
And what are your social media so people can follow Espacio Migrante or your social media?
Well, we have a webpage. You can find us if someone wants to get to know more about Espacio Migrante. The webpage is espaciomigrante.org. And we also have social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and everyone can do the search, such as do the.
So, what are your social media?
Our social media, we have a webpage. If someone wants to get to know more about Espacio Migrante, the webpage is espaciomigrante.org. But we also have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I think Facebook is where we are more active. So everything that we do, we post it on Facebook. And our social media is just Espacio Migrante for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for this interview, Sara. I hope to see you later, and we really hope Espacio Migrante keeps growing as a nonprofit and keeps helping the migrants and the people in need. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation.
Bye-bye.
watching DNBC Business Channel.